Hi Whovians, Harry here, and episode 5 of season 1 of Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble, was shocking. I did not expect the ending of that. I just thought it would be a random, fun episode, just like in the essence of Space Babies, for like a kind of midway point episode. But I was wrong, and this video is going to go over the whole episode of Dot and Bubble. But before we do, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get in to the video. So the main plot of Dot and Bubble is that we follow this character, Lindsay Pepperbean, just throughout her day, and the Doctor and Ruby show up in her little home screen bubble to warn her that there are man-eating slugs out that are, well, eating all her friends, and that they will eat her, and they have to try and get her to safety outside of this dome city that she lives in called Finetime, and they eventually do happen, and she escapes, and then there is a shocking bombshell that is dropped. Well, some shocking bombshells dropped throughout the episode, but the biggest one is at the end. But basically, it just involves the Doctor and Ruby trying to get really this one singular character out, because we don't see them talking to any other characters, but I digress, we'll move on to that later. So that is the main plot. And this is kind of a Doctor and companion-like episode. We have kind of had 3 episodes that are very light on the Doctor and companion, or at least their dynamic. Because in Boom, we saw Ruby die like 3/4 of the way through the episode. So Ruby wasn't there for like the last 10-15 minutes of Boom. We also saw that the Doctor was in like none of 73 yards, so we didn't have the dynamic between the Doctor and Ruby then. And then in this episode, the Doctor and Ruby are not really the main characters. They're like kind of put on as side characters in favour of this new character, Lindsay Pepperbean. So, let's talk about her. So, Lindsay Pepperbean is just put across to start with as this average, ordinary person. Yeah, she's a bit annoying, a bit bratty, thinks she's more important than everyone else, but there's nothing really alarming about her. And the way that Russell T Davies sprinkles the doubt into our minds is just great. Because whenever there's this interaction with the Doctor, she's very mean and condescending to him, and you think, is she being, is it just based on the Doctor's race? No, it can't be. Because, to be fair, she does give as much mean and condescending energy towards Ruby in a lot of parts as she gives to the Doctor. So, it doesn't seem particularly that it's based on the colour of the Doctor's skin, because it's just put across that the Doctor isn't part of her friend group. They're not friends, because she brings up the same point with Ruby. It's literally stated in the episode that's why she doesn't like Ruby. So it's just put across that, but there are a couple of more instances where it's dropped like that she is mean or condescending, and you think, is it the fact that the Doctor is black? But it's never, overly shoved in your face that way. And the way that there are no black people in Finetime, just coupled with that, makes it so good. And necessarily you don't notice it straight away. I didn't notice it until the end, where all the refugees I saw were white, and that's when I noticed it. But on rewatch, it's kind of obvious, but of course you can say that with a lot of things. But Lindsay Pepperbean, she's not a nice person, and throughout here you think that she's annoying and snarky and just condescending, and you just the thing is, you go with that because there are points in the journey where you feel sorry for her, because because obviously she has been she has been taken to Fine Time because her mum and dad paid for her to be in Fine Time, for her to have a happy party life where they only work for 2 hours, alright for some. And while her parents were probably thinking that she would be happy there, she is still being ditched by her parents. And then we see later when she meets up with Ricky September that she has never had a hug before. So not only have we known that her parents has ditched her, they did it because probably they wanted to ditch her, not that they thought that she'd have a better time in Fine Time, because they haven't ever been intimate with her. Like, she's never had a hug before. And also, then we see through the eyes of Ricky September that the homeworld has been destroyed. And now this is not just related to Lindsay Pepperbean, but it is everyone that has lived in Fine Time. All their friends, their family, that don't live in Fine Time, are gone. They have been wiped out by these slug alien creatures, and it's just a horrific visual, and you see through Ricky September's eyes that this is haunted, and he has to pretend to Lindsay that everything is fine, and then in the final few minutes, along with all the other bombshells, it is dropped on Lindsay that the homeworld is gone and destroyed. However, speaking of Lindsay's life and her family, her mum is actually played by Susan Twist. Yes, that is right, the character whose 7th appearance who makes her 7th appearance in Doctor Who, from appearing as Miss Marrigew in World Blue Yonder to now Lindsay Pepperbean's mum in this episode. And the Doctor and Ruby actually recognise her, with the Doctor recognising that she is from the ambulance in the episode Boom, and Ruby kind of remembering that she's the hiker that she saw in 73 Yards. So this episode now confirms that Ruby still has memories from her time in the alternate reality that she went through in 73 Yards. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my review of 73 Yards, which I will link up in the cards above. So check that out if you haven't already. But Ruby and the Doctor now both know who Susan Twist is, or at least they know what she looks like and remember her. So it seems that in Rogue, I know that she's listed as the portrait, so maybe it is just a painting of Susan Twist, and the Doctor and Ruby will comment on that, but they won't be able to do anything about it, just like they can't do anything about it in this episode. So we will see her. We know for sure she's in Rogue, and we know for sure she's in the finale, whether that be The Legend of Ruby Sunday or Empire of Death, or both, potentially as the same character in the kind of 2-part season finale of this episode. But speaking about her relationship with Lindsay and her mum, it is very seen that they have kind of regressed, the people in Fine Time. And I'm not putting shade to anyone who does this, of course, live your life how you want it, but she refers to her mum not as mum, but as mummy, and that is a very childlike way. Like, a lot of people Lindsay's age, like, I'm kind of around her age, so would be like mum, or if you have a formal relationship with your parents, like mother. However, she says it as mummy, which is very childlike, like they've been regressed. And also, there are parallels to Space Babies as well. The Space Babies episode that they sort of grew up too fast for their bodies, or their bodies haven't caught up with how fast that they should be growing. And they refer to, the Doctor and Ruby when they see them as mummy and daddy. And also, they had also never been hugged before because, of course, the crew had just left them after they had been born. So there are actually parallels to the babies in Space Babies and the people living in Fine Time. And also, it makes sense for the space babies because I think they should relatively be 6-year-old, but they're of course stuck in baby form. And in this episode, they should be like between 17 and 27, I think is the age for people in Fine Time. However, they act much younger. And that is nowhere more prevalent than with the Dot and Bubble technology. So, where Dot and Bubble gets its name is from the technology that everyone uses in Fine Time. They have a little electronic dot that they power on, and then a bubble, which literally forms a bubble around their head, and they are basically in this internet simulator all the time. And this episode was actually pitched back by Russell T Davies back in 2010, 2009, 2010, when he met up with Stephen Moffat when Stephen Moffat took over as showrunner, and he thought that this would be a good story. And while I think the internet storyline in Dot and Bubble could have happened back in 2010, I think now has been the perfect time for it to drop, because the internet and, of course, everything around it has never been more prevalent than it is today. Generation Z and Generation Alpha are the online generation. So that is like from my age, people slightly older than me, and then of course everyone younger than me has been online, and you can't escape being online. Like, it's almost shunned if you do not have at least some online presence. And while I think that is definitely a bad thing, because, of course, the internet has made some people's mental health really bad, because while we are also connected more than ever, we are also more apart from people than ever. And it has made, of course, it bad for some people, and I think this is what Russell T Davies is trying to highlight in this episode. And really, the Dot and Bubble is not far off where I could see our future being, heading, because, I mean, there's already a phrase that is chronically online, and you hear that quite a lot when you go over a lot of YouTuber drama or Twitch drama, because that happens a lot, and of course those people are definitely online because they stream multiple hours a day, pump out loads of videos, and really it's not good for people, because there has been burnout, mental health struggles more and more, and I think that social media has played a big part into this, because, I mean, just look at some drama, some random things there, and you will see it. I mean, Twitter is a prime example of that, and there is spaces for everyone to go. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. The list of apps are endless that are social media based or just internet in general. And of course, this episode is saying that it is bad, because when you're living in your bubble, you are oblivious to the things happening around you, which leads into the monster slugs of this episode. So, the monsters of this episode, the man-eating slugs, they are, they actually look really good. The practical effects mixed with the CGI is amazing. They are imposing, intimidating, and also just creepy a bit. You would not want to come in contact with one of them. They are actually a quite intimidating monster, which we have been lacking a little bit. So hopefully more hide behind the couch moments from Doctor Who. It wasn't quite on that level yet, so hopefully a bit more. But yes, it is revealed that they are eating people, and it is unsure because it is the Doctor and Ruby tried to convince Lindsay and her friends to escape, get out of Fine Time, and they come into contact with a lot of slugs. And they just seem to let Lindsay and other people go, and it is unsure why. And then it is revealed later in the episode that the slugs are eating people in alphabetical order, and that reveal is shocking. Again, it is dragged on a little bit more when the Doctor is explaining that I was able to know what was happening before, like, it was fully revealed. Again, this Doctor's explanations just seem to drag on a bit too long, but again, it was still a good reveal nonetheless. So it is revealed that they are working their way from A to Z, and in this episode it is revealed that they have got to P because Lindsay Pepperbean is up next. But when Lindsay brings up the fact that the slugs could not have got in from the outside because they live in this dome, she says, how did they get in? And the Doctor, now knowing what has been going on, says, I think the technology made the slugs because it has been listening to you, and it has decided, just by listening to you, to hate you. And really, he can't blame it. And yeah, them living in this bubble has made them just more and more hateful and spiteful. And really, the slugs and the Dot has learnt from this, and it has grown to hate them. And really, by living in this bubble, again, it's just made them worse. However, there is some bright spots in this episode, because Ricky September, a person that is subscribed to by everyone in Fine Time, yes, that's more subscribers, well, potentially, than Mr. Beast, who is the most subscribed to YouTuber ever. That is dwarfed, potentially, by Ricky September, because everyone is subscribed to him. And Ricky September is really a music YouTuber, and yes, it is no coincidence that before Mr. Beast, and now the second most subscribed to YouTube channel, T-Series is a music content channel. So, of course, they kind of combine those two people together to form Ricky September, which is actually really cool, and maybe they did some research on that, because he fits the Mr. Beast archetype kind of well, and of course the T-Series archetype very well. But yes, he is, even though he is the most subscribed to YouTuber and everyone is subscribed to him in Fine Time, he is actually a really nice guy. He is really nice. He tries to save he tries to save Lindsay when he comes into contact with her. He keeps the fact that the homeworld is dead because he doesn't want to break it to her that they are all alone and that the only people looking out for them is them. And also, he defends her from the Dot when the Dot starts to attack her when the slug aliens can't get to her. And how is this repaid? Lindsay Pepperbean says that as the Dot is about to kill her, she says, no, you can't kill me because right over there, Ricky September, that is not his real name. His real name is Richard Coombs. C comes before P, and the Dot turns and kills him. And that is all because of Lindsay giving her just enough time to escape from the Dot. He saved her life, did everything for her, gave her her first hug, protected her from the slug creatures, protected her from the Dot, made it so that she could escape. And it is repaid by him getting blown through the head because Lindsay basically said, kill him before me, and gave the Dot a reason. And that is just shocking. So, that is a massive bombshell. However, there is an even greater one to follow, because yes, the Dot has been killing in alphabetical order because it's a mechanical thing. It sees people as numbers, so it just goes from A to Z, working its way through like that. And Lindsay did something awful, but that was to escape, and obviously I'm not condoning it anyway, no way, no. But she did that to escape. However, something that is fully atrocious with no order or cohesion whatsoever is what happens when she meets up with the Doctor and Millie and the rest of the survivors that got out of Fine Time. So, the Doctor says to, Lindsay Pepperbean and all the people in Fine Time, get in my TARDIS, I can take you to a safe place that has everything that you could ever want. And they disregard him because it is revealed that they are all racists. And they don't want to get with the Doctor because the colour of his skin. And that was just shocking. I did not expect that. That was just mind-blowing. And just star performance from Ncuti Gatwa. He's like, I can save you. Just come with me. You can think whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. I will do anything if I can just take you somewhere safe. You will die if you go out of Fine Time, because I am convinced that all of these Fine Time refugees, as soon as they left, they did die, because the bubble did everything for them. Like, it even told them when to pee and poo. They could not walk without the arrows. They could not run, they could not walk without the bubble telling them what to do. And then they think they can survive in the wilderness with nothing? They definitely did die. And the Doctor knows this, and he is screaming that he can save them. It is a kind of inversion from the Ninth Doctor in the episode The Empty Child, The Doctor Dances, where he is joyful that he has saved everyone. However, this Doctor knows that he can save everyone if they would just listen to him. But they don't, because of the prejudice of this. And we have never seen this against the Doctor, really. Because the only other time we've seen prejudice against the Doctor is in the episode The Witchfinders, where Jodie was persecuted by King James because she was a woman. And of course we have never had this against the Doctor because the Doctor has always been a white male that has seemed very powerful and authoritarian and confident. However, because the Doctor now looks different from them, they do not, listen to him. And he is screaming and crying because he knows he can save them, and they won't listen to him because of the colour of his skin and just the performance from Ncuti Gatwa and also Millie Gibson of the emotion, the raw emotion is so good. But this episode did drag a little in the middle, and also one great scene isn't enough to save it from just, again, being a silly, fun episode like Space Babies. I think it is a 6.5 out of 10 for Dot and Bubble, in my opinion. Yes, I know I've been saying how good it is, but I have been reiterating the same points. I have kind of been rambling a bit, because, yes, there are some solely amazing things, but it is just a fun Doctor Who episode. It's not hitting really any new ground differently. And I think if it had been put back in 2010, it might not have been as good as it is in this day and age, just because of how prevalent technology is. But that is just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Dot and Bubble. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, I think in the spirit of this episode, you'll just need to go outside. I'm not telling you to like and subscribe, although it'd be nice if you would, and since you're commenting, may as well like and subscribe to this video as well. But let's go outside, touch some grass, and just log off for a little bit. I know that I will, after I've done some editing for this video. So, there, I will see you next week for the episode Rogue. See you then.